Okay, so let's talk about the proposal. The nuts and bolts of it are that we do expect that you submit one page as a maximum for your proposal. How you set that up is totally your call. Use a table or paragraphs, dot points, diagram, or you can record it. So you have up to 2 minutes per page, and you can submit it as a video or on a disc. And you don't need to just have your proposal on that. You could have some planning or some journals that like talk about how you refined your topic. Like you can have lots of other things on there as well. But what we do expect you to do is to tell us about the question that you have at the moment. Now that might not be the question that you finish with because you haven't done enough research. You have no idea what's going to happen. So put down a question. If it's not perfect, that's okay. What we do need you to do, though, is have some pretty good focus questions so you can start researching. You might have already done some background questions, some things you needed to know before you could really think about your topic, and you might want to put them on there as well to show us what you've done. Just make sure you clearly label them. Then we have refinement and justification, and this should just be a little paragraph that tells us about what you started with and then how you got to the topic and why you went there. The processes you're going to undertake, the capability that you've chosen. Remember, you can choose one or more. We're advising that you start with one, see how you go. Ethics, what's your ethics plan, and what you've chosen for your act. So the point of this assignment is that you're going to show us where you're going, okay, what your plan is. The point of the proposal is to propose information. It's not set in stone. It is going to change, and you need to be willing to be flexible. Now, you should have done background research before you write your proposal. Lots of people were saying to me at the end of the year, I don't know what to do. I don't know what my questions are. I was like, well, have you read anything? If you haven't done background research, you haven't really got a good understanding of what's going to happen with your topic. So my big piece of advice is make sure that the proposal comes after you've already started doing that. You need to show us that your topic is viable. So if you haven't got any sources that are useful or you haven't got anything that's going to work, we're going to really struggle to help you, and we're going to advise against your topic. That's the point of the proposal, that we can map out what you want to do, and then we help you figure out if it's actually able to happen. So the first section should have your main question and your focus questions. Just state them. You don't need to explain them. And the main thing is that your focus questions need to actually work for your main question. So your main question needs to be sophisticated and lead to some sort of outcome. So if you just say like how to paint a room, that's fine. It can work, but it's not really going to allow you to get that more sophisticated, nuanced type thinking. So I'd be advising you to do something like, considering what are the different things that you must consider when you are painting a room, and how these things impact on your painting experience. So it might be like, what are the most significant things to consider when painting a room? Or it might be that you do just produce your how-to and you have step 1, step 2, step 3. That's fine. But there's different levels of sophistication there. Your minor questions need to relate to your major question. So if you have a major question that is quite simple, your focus questions will probably be quite simple. If you have a lot of different bits and pieces, then your focus questions are going to have to apply to each of those different ones. Now, what's really important is that it must be really clear. And so what I advise that you do is you think about, what will my outcome be? So if it's going to be a report, what will the first paragraph be about? That's probably going to tell you what your first focus question needs to be about. And then maybe you need to go, okay, what's my next part of my essay going to be about? Yep, okay, that's what my second focus question is probably going to be about. So these don't just like magically, come up out of nowhere. You should have mind mapped them. You should have, played with them. There should be evidence of you creating them and then looking at them going, nah, that's crap, and scribbling it out and then explaining why it didn't work for you. That's all in your planning. Now here's your polished piece. In your refinement and justification, this is your chance to tell us the happy story of your research so far. Words like, I started with this topic and then I read this article and it made me think about this, and then I saw something on TV and I decided to do that instead, and talking about your mind mapping process. How did you get here? Don't spend a long time on this. Okay, we're going to see your planning. This is really just a nice, short, sharp little summary so you can reflect and think, how did I get here? Why am I doing this the way I'm doing it? Big deal with the research processes. Not vague. Not I'm going to look on the internet and I'm going to watch TV. That is very low level. What we're looking for are really specific examples. So if you say I'm going to interview someone, who? Don't just tell me a psychologist. Give me a name. And for you to do this really high level, I would be expecting that the person you name has some link to your topic that you have already previously found out through your background research. Maybe they're the author of an article that you have read. Maybe they are someone who is doing research and has presented a TED Talk. Maybe they're someone who is actually, a friend of a friend, and you mentioned it to them and they're like, oh yeah, he does that. So there should be justification. So you're doing your actual process, interview with an expert, or, going to do some cross comparison between articles, literature review, that kind of thing. And then you can tell me the specifics. So you're going to say, all right, I'm going to interview with a psychologist whose name is Dr. So-and-so. And then you're going to actually explain why you're interviewing this person. So if you look at my example there, I've got how, we got onto this person doing background research. He published a paper. But then really importantly, discussion with him will allow me to do something. It's not just, get the answers to my question, because, yeah, that is true. But what is specific to this source that's going to help you? What can they give you that no one else can give you? And what will you then do with that? Because that's really important. So my last sentence there is, this will be cross-compared with the other interviews. Maybe you're going to do a review of all the experts' work. Maybe you're going to create a table that has their key findings and you're going to use that to establish a trend or, some sort of data management system. Please do be very specific. Give us examples. If you're going to say I'm going to go on websites, what ones? Why? If you're going to say I'm using YouTube's, what ones? Why? That's what we're going to ask you 100 times. Okay. Then you go to your capability. And again, no vague. No just copying and pasting the SACE descriptors. Okay, that's a good start if you're really stuck. But you need to show us the link between your topic and your capability. And you need to show us what you understand this capability to be right now, even if you think it's wrong. Okay? Because remember, you're being marked on your development of your capability. So if you start out in your planning and your proposal pretty light on, that's okay. All right? We'd be hoping there'd been some development since you did your capability planning. But hopefully you can see that there is, this is like step one on a big, long journey. What we really want is for you to actually just be able to go, all right, well, I think literacy is about writing stuff and my topic's about writing stuff, so that's why I'm choosing it. Okay, simple, but that's fine. All right. Then we need to know how you plan to do it. So we want specifics, not just like I will develop my capability, like specifics. I will develop my capability when I formulate questions that are appropriate for my audience, or when I actually read an article and use words I've never seen before in my life, or, build a glossary, or there's a million different things. So really specific actions that you're actually going to do. And if you can, we want you to really go to that next level, and we want you to explain, why is this capability important to research? Why is it important to your research? What is it that underpins this capability? The capability is the lens through which your project is going to be looked at. So you've got to try and think about that. So there's an example there. Have a read of it. Ethics, you guys should have planned for this already. Your proposal really should just be like a summary of the stuff you've already done and maybe a development of stuff you've already done. So things that you can just take like one little step further. Okay. Everyone could tell me they're not going to plagiarize. That's very nice. It's very good if you don't plagiarize, but it's also a bit like, blah. Okay. really try to think about what is the ethical issue at the heart of your topic. What is the problem that you need to overcome? So if you're going to be interviewing people about a sensitive topic, okay, how are you going to overcome that? And why is this issue so sensitive? And why are you aware that it's a sensitive issue? Make sure that you are being really specific at this point. You know, your ethics plan should be like totally 100% clear. To be ethical, I will. Actions, not just like be nice to people. How? When? You know, it might be that you're doing an interview and you're going to use the politically correct terminology when referring to a certain group of people so that you do not cause offense because you're interviewing someone from that group of people. You know, you're going to follow the right, correct, professional ways of communication. It's a really good way to do it. Okay? So really make sure that you're thinking about your previous planning activities to get this specific, short, sharp, shiny, dot points, fine, diagrams, whatever, but just specific. Like your last outcome, this is generally like a sentence. Okay, select your format: essay, report, video, interpretive dance, product and substantiation, booklet, brochure, pamphlet, whatever works for you. Okay. Really importantly though, you need to explain your purpose and your audience. So if you create a brochure about something really technical, you're trying to make it for year 12 students, you have to really think about the language you use to convey that technical, information. Or maybe you're trying to make a picture book for a 5-year-old. That's a totally different ballgame. So you need to really think, what is your purpose? What is your audience? Is your audience academics? Is your audience your peers? Is your audience the people in the community that you're writing about? Right? Are they experts? Are they amateurs? Is your purpose to inform them, to help them, to engage them? Or is it just for you? Maybe your purpose is to help you plan your formal dress. And the audience is you because you're going to use it. That's fine. Okay? Just make sure you're really clear about it though. And then explain how you're going to actually meet that format, because you have to actually think about how will you do that. So if your purpose is to create a journal article for a scientific magazine, you're going to need to use certain terminology, a very specific layout, certain word count. You're going to have to really think about that. Okay. So this is our task sheet. All right. We know that this is what it looks like because you've been studying it religiously, obviously. Now, those are your sections. This is what you've been marked on. Remember, planning. We want consideration, refinement of a research question. And we want processes that are appropriate to the research question. So if you are doing a really random question and you tell me that you're going to do only websites, no experts, no observations, no experiments, no engagement of any sort, it's going to be a problem, okay, because it's not appropriate. The proposal should have your main question, your supporting questions, refinement, what you're going to do in your research, your ethics, capability, and unfortunately the outcome's been cut off. You guys have this in hard copy and digital copy, and go back, have a look at it. Okay, it's there to help you break it down.